For someone whose entire career has been focused on joy, why a podcast on pain? Because these stories need to be told. A good phoenix rising out of the ashes story reminds us all that not only can we survive, we can thrive. And when we emerge, we're different. That's the alchemy of pain. Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Alchemy of Pain. Every time I say the title, I think, wow, I should have maybe chosen something more positive. But the truth is, alchemy is a positive thing. It means something is transformed, something beautiful emerges from the ashes of life. And I'm honored to speak to different people who have different painful experiences that change them in different ways. What's the goal? To encourage you to say, keep going through your dark time. And so my guest today is Brenna Crable. Now, Brenna, it's so great to see you.
Likewise, Brenda. Thank you so much for having me.
Are you kidding me? You shine. The minute I met you, you just go right through the camera with your positive energy. So I always tell my guests, my audience, how I met my guest. And this one was really kind of fun. It was a friend of a friend that I knew through work, and she knew you and she knew me. And just like trying to match two people on a date, she said, you two would be great together. And I'm Brenda, you're Brenna. And the truth is, the minute we met, it was simpatico. So thank you, Molly Gallagher, who
Yes, Molly.
Unstoppable Molly brought us together. And so I will start, Brenna, with the one question I always want to get to, which is, we all have many different pains in life, but usually there's one that we can point to that said, man, that was a turning point that changed me forever. What was yours?
And I can actually point to her because she's over my shoulder right there. So it would be losing my mom. I was young, so I was 25. And, we received a call earlier in the year that we had found out that she had a brain aneurysm and it grew into her ocular nerve, but we were extremely hopeful. She had, the top pristine doctors in Pittsburgh and New York. We had taken her for all of her testing. She was ready to go, and we just quite didn't make it. It ended up rupturing 2 weeks before her surgery. We were on our way to the hospital, and it actually ruptured in my car. And,
no.
We worked on her in the car. Thankfully, she was able to make it. So my mom endured 13 brain surgeries, and she then passed in 2010, and that actually started in my house. So her aneurysm ruptured in my car, and I worked on her then. And then I worked on her in my home when she ended up having a heart attack.
What was the space and time from that aneurysm to her transition?
So the aneurysm was August of 2007, and she passed away December of 2008. So, even though it was traumatic, it was hard. I was so grateful to have her still. One thing she told her friends was, I'm not leaving this earth until I know my daughter's okay. Because I'm the baby. So, I'm one of three. My oldest sister's 16 years older than me. My brother's 10 years older than me. So it was just me, and she wanted to make sure that I was okay. And she stuck it out. She pushed through. I had the honor to take care of her when she came home from the hospital. She was in the hospital from August of 2007 until April. She came home a week before my birthday. And then she stayed with me from April till December. So although it was hard, very hard, lots of stories we can talk about, but it made me who I am. And I'm grateful to have that time.
So I want to go back into that for a moment, because one of the things people don't talk about when they have an ailing parent or they are a caregiver for someone that they love is living in a constant threat state.
Mm-hmm.
because you never know when you're going to have that other episode or that phone call or getting to the hospital in the middle of the night, this fight or flight place you stay in
Mhm.
when they are chronically ill. How did you handle that?
I actually just got out of that state, honestly. You get used to carrying your phone everywhere. I mean, when I say everywhere, I mean everywhere. Even if I'm washing clothes and I was a room away, that stayed with me. But it was just the fight of knowing that she would want more for me. It was the fight of knowing that whatever, wherever we're at and whatever's happening, that's the space that we're in, and we're going to be able to navigate through it. But really finding my inner peace and knowing that I can do the things, right? We can do hard things, and being that young and not knowing, what I was doing or how I was going to do it. It just gave me the perseverance and the resilience to just push forth and deal with it. So I think for me, it was a matter of, becoming an extreme adult in a very short amount of time, but learning how to use that for my future and learning how to embrace it and working on my emotional intelligence. I was 24, talking to doctors and making decisions, making lifelong decisions for my mom. So, I had to find a different space of me. I had to find the now me back then.
Wow, which I'm glad you put it that way, because when I went through that with my mom, I was 57.
Mhm.
So we're talking over double what your age was. And when I think about when I was 25, like I couldn't even remember what I ate for breakfast, let alone taking care of an elder. And she wasn't elderly.
No, she was 62. She had just retired. So she retired in January, and then we found out about her aneurysm in May.
So what some of our viewers, especially our viewers, because listeners can't see your smile, you're talking about all this with a smile on your face.
Mhm.
Where does that smile come from? Because I know that for a few years, I couldn't even say anything without bursting into tears.
Mhm. It's the gratitude. It's the opportunity to have even had the chance to take care of her, and the upbringing that I had and the woman that she was. I did not realize all of the things that she had instilled in me in such a young age that when the times were coming, I was okay. I'm the person that my friends reach out to when they're going through these things. We've had several of our moms pass away, and I am that person that is right there on the scene, and it just really just brings me back to who she was. And I live my life and my legacy for my son, but I live it through her footsteps. So I owe her all of my gratitude and grace, and I'm just so grateful to have come from her, because
So
without her, I wouldn't be here.
I'm getting goosebumps because I feel how you are so honoring her through your life. And I always say the experiences of life can either make us bitter or better. And instead of being bitter that you didn't get all the years that you had hoped for with your mom, you instead are looking at the gratitude for the time you did have with her and what she imparted to you. So I want to honor her a little bit right now too. Describe your mom for me.
Wow. I always like to describe her as she is Martha Stewart and she's also Medea, right? So she's these two people, and then let's throw in a little bit of a country girl because she loved to fish. So my mom was the type of mom that would cook you a 5-course meal from scratch, dessert included, but you better be on time. You better not be late. I was the kid that didn't have a curfew, and everyone would ask me why, and I said because I knew better, because she would kill me. And she would always say to me, you make your own decisions, but I hope you make the right one, and we'll see if you do or not. So even from a young age, she instilled those pieces in me. And one of my favorite moments that I'll never forget, I was moving into my college dorm. I was the last to go. The only to graduate, by the way, but I was the last to go. And I remember her like tearing up, and she was just so excited. And then her face completely shifted, and it's like stone, like now it's like serious talk. And she said, "Do not waste my money. Do not waste my money. Um, do not bring me a baby. Do not waste my money. Enjoy your time, but you know what you're here to do. This is a job for you." And every moment that I would think about not going to class, she would literally call, and I'd be like, "Well, I'm up." Let me get up. So I never skipped class, but you know, that was my job. She worked 16 hours a day to put me through college. So I didn't have to take on a job. So I had to still show her my grades to get paid. So that was the
So,
type of mom she was.
and I feel like she still lives in your psyche.
Yeah.
You hear her voice when
Yeah.
you're about to make a wrong decision.
Every day.
So, how did this pain of losing her change you forever? Was it
Mm.
what you learned in the loss?
It was a little bit of both. I think first, you know, it's hard. It wasn't easy. It wasn't pretty to get
Wait,
here.
yeah, let's stop there for a minute, because you are, again, so shining and so smiling, and I love that. But I'm sure there had to be moments where, because, you know, a parental loss is profound.
Mhm.
So,
It was dark, you know, and those moments still come. I can remember it was about probably 3 days after her funeral. And I remember waking up in my apartment, and it was covered like there. If it wasn't a wine bottle, it was a beer bottle. If it wasn't a beer bottle, it was a bottle, a liquor bottle. It was something, because you need to go to sleep. You can't sleep. Then you don't want to deal with things. And then that was, you know, what I was thinking was going to help. And I remember being like, well, this isn't working. Right. So of course I go right back to my internal source. It was me and God, like, dude, we got to work this out, because I'm angry. You know, I wasn't supposed to lose her yet. You know, my brother had been married and had kids. My sister was traveling and doing all the things, and it was me, right? I'm like, well, what about me? I don't get her for my wedding. I don't get her as a grandparent. Why, right? And we duked it out. I mean, we fought hard, and I yelled and was mean. And I just
and you're
remember,
saying you fought it out with your inner being, with your
yeah,
source,
yeah,
whomever, you know, you choose to,
whomever.
like, it's
Mhm.
God to you, and you had a wrestling match with God.
I did. I did, because I felt like I was shafted, right? I felt like here I was finally in that peak of just starting my career. I had all these ideas of things I wanted to do with her. And, you know, you see kids go back and take their parents on vacation and pay off their homes. And I got to buy a tombstone. And I had to wrestle with that. But as I grew in it, I realized that everything that she instilled in me, she gave it to me then, because it was almost as if she already knew. So I am my mom was one of seven, and I am the baby of that group. I have my oldest cousin is 60, she'll be 63, and then I'm 40. And so many of them come to me just out of the wisdom that I was able to grow and what she instilled in me. And I think it was in those moments that I started to grow. And when I realized that she may not be here, but she gave me so much to model from. So Christmas, I got that from her. There's little things, there's pieces of me that people were like, oh, here comes Charlene. Little Charlene's coming out. And that could be good or bad, depending if I need to protect somebody. But you know, she was such a light that after a while I knew that I was her, just different, right? I'm me, but I'm her. So that's what helped me go through. But it wasn't, you know, it wasn't pretty. And getting married, I got married twice. So, you know, that was two weddings, you know, without your mom, sitting around hoping that one day she would be there, even though she was, but you know that she's not. So it was a
Did she
lot of
get to
that.
see you graduate?
She did. She did. Now, she did not get to see me graduate from my master's. So while all of this was going on, I was actually in master's classes. So I was taking care of her. I was working in admissions at the time. So I was traveling in and out of the state. I live in Pittsburgh. I had to go to Philly a lot. And I was also taking my master classes at night. So how I did it was literally the grace of God, because I was at the hospital every day. I was doing my classes there. I would leave Monday nights at 9 p.m. after class and then drive to Philly and then come back and do it all over again. So
That's a stressful space. And I've got to note, you have a Steelers sign behind you, and you went to Philly as
oh
a
yeah.
Steelers fan?
Oh yeah, diehard Steelers fan in my black and gold. Doesn't matter. I don't care.
You and I might have to have a wrestling match one of these days, because I bleed Eagles green, but that's another topic for another day. I want to go back to this wrestling with God thing, because whatever you call it, it is almost like wrestling with something bigger than you.
Mhm.
And how did that end? Was it with surrender?
A
And
little.
how did you get there? Like, when you say you were angry,
Mhm.
you had to feel those feelings.
Mhm. What's interesting is that I actually did a lot of my wrestling at the cemetery. So the cemetery that my mom is in is actually where most of our family is. And I take care of our family plots there. So there's 15 graves. I would walk there every day. And, I would just go and be like, she's not supposed to be here. And it comes back to, but you won't be who you're meant to be if she is here. And that was the space that I had to stop and say, okay, because I knew in that moment that what happened, it didn't happen to me. She didn't die just for me. It had to happen, right? That was her dash had ended. But in order for me to be the person that I am, to be able to pour into people, help people, have the sense of wisdom that I do, she had to go. And I had to learn how to be okay with that. And I had to learn how to shift what was given to me into power for other people.
That is a drop the mic moment. It's such a shift from being a victim to saying, my mom's journey was her journey, and she completed it. Now for me to finish my journey. Did you always know that you were meant to be an uplifter, a wellness coach, somebody that would impart life and light to people? Was that always in there?
Yes, actually it was. I did. I was always the motivator of my friends and my family. And before I ended up in, Herbalife and being a wellness coach, I actually did this for everyone. So I would have some of my friends would meet me in the park. We would go walk, we would talk. I would do workout plans with them. And through that time, we would talk about things that were happening to us and, how to look at it from a positive perspective. I'm someone that always tries to find the lesson or the blessing in a situation. So it doesn't matter what it is. There's always a silver lining, or there's always a lesson that you can take and move on from that. So I've always been that person, and I've always just tried to instill the best that I could in others.
So, I want to talk to you every week, just because
Yes.
just talking to you is encouraging to me. And I know that our listeners are feeling the same way. So you are in wellness coaching, but it really is a lot about your physical wellness.
Mhm. It's about all of
What's the
it.
connection? What's the connection? What would you say to impart to our listeners, the importance of the wellness connection
Yeah.
in getting out of the dark hole?
Yes. So if it wasn't for that, I probably wouldn't be talking to you today. It is so important. And I think a lot of people don't realize that your wellness isn't just physical, it's mental, it's spiritual, whether you're spiritual or just spiritual with yourself. It's your mental space, it's your financial space, it's all of those areas combined. And if one of them is sick, right, with a disease, which is a dis-ease, you're going to be sick. So for me, my journey into being a wellness coach isn't just about physical transformation. My most important piece is the mental aspect of it. I want people to have the mental shift of, I'm not here to give you, that banging body. If that's what you want, great, we can do that. We can bang out a plan, but I'm here to make sure that you're whole. I want you whole in your mental space. I want you whole in your physical space. And I just want you to love you, whether you have a fat roll, you don't have a roll, you have abs. I don't care. I just want you to be happy and healthy within yourself. And I think when I was able to merge both of them together, that's when I knew that, like, my purpose is just to love and motivate and empower and encourage others.
I always say you can't give it if you don't live it.
Mhm.
So you're living it and then you're giving it. So how can people find you and follow you? Because I know people are going to want to work with you.
Yes. So I am on Instagram. So my name is coach_Bren_412 on Instagram. I have fun on there. You will always see a real motivation. So if you're looking for someone to lift you up, please stop by. You can also find me on my website. So if you go to brennajones.goherbalife.com, you will see my webpage with our healthy nutrition. We are the #1 nutrition company in the world. I promise. You can ask Siri and she will show you. But outside of that, I would love and encourage any of you listening. If you have any questions or you just need someone to talk to about something that you're going through, please reach out, hit my inbox, because all of us needs each of us, and each of us needs all of us. And your life is special here. You are meant to be here. You are meant to live in your purpose, whatever that is. And guess what? If you feel like it needs to change, pivot. That's what we do. You are not meant to be the same person all the time. And just know that your light also shines.
And my final question was going to be, and what would you say to leave our listeners with to encourage them? And I feel like you just did it, but you got anything else, Brenna?
Yes. Living the light. It's hard sometimes, even in those dark spaces. I've had a lot happen this year and I'm still living in that light, even though, you might shut that door and you cry it out, you take naps, you do whatever you need to do. But when you wake up, know that today can change in an instant. So every second of the day is a new day. Wake up with a day one attitude, no matter what. And just know that you are loved.
Well, all I know is that I will forever thank Molly Gallagher for introducing me to you and for you being so kind as to let me introduce you to my listeners. Brenna Crable, who, yes, her website is Brenna Jones,
Yes.
but Brenna Crable,
Yes.
you are a force for good. And I love your words. Live in the light. What an exhortation to end this interview with. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Can't wait to do it again because
I
we're
know. Yeah, we'll have to have
together
you
now.
back. And for those of you listening, watching, please, if you know someone who is living in the light, they made it through the darkness, they went through the valley, but they kept going. I want to tell their stories because we need to hear them. We need the encouragement. It's an honor to tell these stories. Send them my way, Brenda@BrendaViola.com. With that, thank you for sharing your time with us, and we'll see you next time on The Alchemy of Pain. Have a great day.